Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and on this channel, we're massive fans of WoW PvP. If you haven't noticed by the numerous 5v5 duos that we host on this channel, where we get to showcase a variety of different classes and playstyles, particularly those that utilize unusual class, covenant, and legendary combinations for some creative PvP burst. In the patch 9.2 and Season 3, Blizzard added a variety of new seasonal PvP trinkets, like the Season 3 Resolve trinket, which for a short time will make you uncounterable and practically unstoppable. This trinket makes it pretty easy to get away with some of the wackiest, cheesiest, and some of the more creative burst combinations, with players utilizing unconventional means to decimate one another within arenas and battlegrounds. So in this video, I wanted to list off 6 playstyles that I've seen recently with the most unusual class, covenant, Lego combinations, but with some of the strongest burst PvP potential. But right before we get into this PvP update, most of you guys watching these videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do. So let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more PvP videos like these of the patch 9.2 or potentially more further coverage of the next expansion of Dragonflight. The first playstyle I want to start off with this video is a playstyle that I've been seeing a lot of as of recently. So let's start this video off with a Protection Warrior. On this channel, we've covered Prot Warrior in patch 9.2 during the PTR development and took a close look at all the different synergies they had for some devastating bursty PvP potential. Honestly, I expected for Blizzard to reduce the value of some of these overlapping buffs before the next update goes live. But comes patch 9.2 and Prot Warriors weren't touched even a little, able to charge at their enemies, slamming them to the ground, steamrolling over them like a freight train, bringing back that Prot Warrior Gladiator Stands glory back into the arena. So let's take a look at how they were able to do it. The Prot Warrior tier set is extremely powerful. They will buff the damage of either your Shield Slam or Thunderclap by 200% upon using the ability of Avatar, which also gains a 10% damage buff as well. By itself, this tier set is the centerpiece for some hilarious one-shot opportunities. Together with this tier set, you could also use the ability of Shield Block before Shield Slamming your target, which will allow your Shield Slam to do 30% more damage baseline. Talents like Punish will further buff the damage of your Shield Slam by 20%. With the talent of Booming Voice, you can shake at your enemy's core with the ability of Demoralizing Shout, further augmenting your damage to that target by 20% more. And with the Necrolord Covenant, you gained 400 points of Mastery, which both increases your defensive output, but more importantly, your attack power, which further empowers the damage you do to the enemy target. With the Necrolord Banner Conduit further increasing your strength output as well. The Marileth Soulbind allows your ability of Fleshcraft to at least increase your mastery by an extra 100 points. And using the banner ability spawns a Kevin's Oozling, which will make your target susceptible to damage by 6% more. Since we're running a bursty build, it's advised to run a Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity to further increase your damage output. For your PvP talents, you can pick up Sword and Board, which will make your Shield Slam more likely to be a devastating critical strike. And the talent of Oppressor to cause a target to take a minimum of 3% more damage from all of your attacks. This kind of burst is a classic case of Shadowlands stacking modifiers to greatly increase the damage of an ability, which is jump-started thanks to your tier set bonus, which gives Protection Warriors some very powerful PvP bursts to simply steamroll over the enemy target. The next burst setup is going to be from the spec of Enhancement Shaman, with a powerful burst combination that can be executed from range as a melee DPS spec. The core of this burst will be the Night Fae Shaman ability, Transfusion, which has an incredibly high base damage output, especially when it comes to PvP situations. For this playstyle, we're going to amplify that damage even further, starting with talents like Earthen Spike. Earthen Spike buffs you physical damage as well as nature damage output. With Transfusion being all nature, it gains all the benefits from the spike. For this burst, we'll also be running the Equilibrium Elemental Legendary, which works for Enhancement Shamans. With this effect, we're going to further increase all the damage we do, and because we're running the Equilibrium Legendary, we need a way to activate all the elements together. This is why we'll also be picking up Elemental Blast. By itself, this ability does quite a bit of damage on its own, especially when it's buffed up by Maelstrom, but we'll primarily be using Elemental Blast to proc our legendary effect. You can also pair a lot of this burst together with the Sky Fury Totem, since all of our damage for this burst is straight up magic damage, which can gain the benefits of Sky Fury. It is also advised to grab the talent of Shamanism for faster damage setup and a quicker burst window. If you're running the Resolve trinket, no one can really stop your burst. However, they could just walk out of it. That's the biggest disadvantage of running the Nightfade Transfusion within PvP. This is why we'll be picking up the Static Totem to hold the enemy in place, and often we'll combine the Static Totem together with the Capacitor Totem for extra lockdown pressure. For your Soulbinds, we'll likely be running Korain with a First Strike Soulbind to get those lucky crits for the benefit of Sky Fury Totem. All in all, this burst takes a second to set up to make sure the enemy stays in place and doesn't run out of your transfusion ability. However, that's the only real setup you need for this playstyle. All of these effects either contribute to greater damage or do a lot of damage on their own and play with each other very seamlessly. A lot of this burst can also be done from range, which gives a melee class a little bit extra reach. Protection Warrior isn't the only tank with the PvP potential. It seems that the spec of Blood DK is able to deliver on powerful death strikes with Execute Opportunity. To make this burst work, we'll be amping up the damage of our Death Strike ability, starting with the Death Certainty legendary for a flat damage increase. The talent of Hemostasis will further buff the damage output of our Death Strike after a couple of blood boils. And then we'll be given our Death Strike some bonus stopping potential with the Rune of Sanguination. Death Knights are able to carve powerful runes into their weapons with unique bonus effects, and this one allows your Death Strike to benefit from bonus damage the lower the health of your target is. Combined together with a 4-piece tier set bonus, whenever you activate the ability of Dancing Rune Weapon, you summon a bonus weapon to your side. Dancing Rune Weapon will mimic the actions of the Death Knight, so if you hit the enemy with an empowered Death Strike, that rune weapon will mimic your attack. Gaining an extra weapon gives you 3 Death Strikes that can be executed simultaneously over a target that's grievously injured. As with all Death Knight PvP specs, we'll be pairing this playstyle with the Necrolord Covenant Legendary and the effect for a massive bonus spike in damage, but also 20% more of a damage debuff whenever your enemies get clawed by the Abomination Limb ability. With the Marileth Soulbind, you can also run Plagueis Preemptive Strike, letting you amp up your damage further by 12% when you burst in an opener. Just like Protection Warrior, you can gain the Mastery buff from your Flesh Scuffed ability, as well as Kevin Oozling for 6% more damage to your primary target. Currently, a Blood Death Knight is able to strike down an enemy target in a single stun lock rotation, which gives him some real burst potential as a tanky class within PvP. But this burst has so much more damage potential if the enemy target's health is low, which could create some surprising burst finishing opportunities to anyone finding themselves disrespecting the potential of the tanky Death Knight. There's a good chance you are aware of how powerful Destruction Warlocks are currently for PvP. However, on this channel we've never featured their burst before, and also we didn't realize just how devastating this spec could be. The double Chaos Bolt synergy from your tier set is an incredibly high value, letting you build up soul shards over time, which takes a little bit of a ramp up, but once you get it set up, your Chaos Bolt could be followed by another Chaos Bolt inside of it, turning 2 Chaos Bolts into one for massive explosive potential. Chaos Bolt has a baseline mechanic where the more critical strike you have, the more damage this ability does. So we're going to be stacking as many critical strike buffs to juice up the damage of your bolts. The talent of Eradication will guarantee that your second Chaos Bolt inside of your first one, thanks to the free tier set proc, is going to be even more impactful than ever. The Dark Soul instability further buffs your critical strike chance, which goes to further juice the output of your Chaos Bolts. The Nightfade Covenant ability with the Nightfade Legendary can fuel you with even more crits, the more targets you affect with the Soul Rot ability. The First Strike trait from the Korain Conduit further gives you extra critical strike if you surprise the enemy target. Conduits like Ashen Remains is going to further amplify the bolt damage if the target is suffering from your Immolate ability. And lastly, the Madness Legendary is going to buff the damage output of your second Chaos Bolt in quick succession by 25%. Altogether, this burst allows you to chain 2 Chaos Bolts back to back, almost fusing them into a single bolt. There's a bit of a ramp up to this burst, as you have to build up your tier set until you're able to gain the double bolt synergy. But the burst potential is really high. Being able to sneak in an extra bolt inside of your original bolt surprises most players, and the damage numbers allow you to do more than enough damage to wipe out an entire health bar. Another combination with some unusual synergy comes from the Kyrian Frost Mage, utilizing the ability of Ray of Frost and other buffs that help you to build and build on damage to vaporize through your target in a single succession. Ray of Frost as an ability is quite interesting. It will channel onto your target, stacking up the damage the longer you channel it, growing stronger and stronger over time. To make this burst work, you want to run the Bone Chilling talent to further buff all of your other Frost ability damage, as well as a talent of Rune of Power to further empower your spell damage output. We'll be pairing the channeling of Ray of Frost with the ability of Radiant Spark, which does a little bit of arcane damage but then further empowers your next 4 ability hits. And every one of those ticks of Ray of Frost benefits from the Kyrian damage amp. Combined together with the Kyrian legendary of Harmonic Echo, all of those damage ticks will echo for 25% more damage on top of it. The Kyrian damage amplification is further empowered with the Ire of the Ascended Conduit. And to solidify this burst, we'll be running the legendary of Disciplinary Command, which allows us to do bonus damage whenever we land critical strikes. Frost mages naturally have an affinity for crits, with their Shatter passives allowing their abilities striking a target that is frozen or treated as frozen to gain extra bonus critical chance. With the passive of Brain Freeze, we're able to use certain abilities like Flurry to apply a similar debuff that treats the target as if it is frozen. And to further increase our crit chances outside of gear, we'll be running the Clea Soulbind, which comes with a variety of different buffs and passives that further increase our crit chances. With this type of burst, you're looking to stack a bunch of damage buffs together, as well as buffs to generate even more crit, to channel all of your damage into one singular ability. Ray of Frost is an interesting spell, that once you start channeling, it's very difficult for someone to get rid of it. Ray of Frost channel will follow your targets behind line of sight, so the only way to break it outside of immunities is to get away from the Frost Mage. However, with Ray of Frost slowing your target over time, it makes it very difficult to escape this kind of setup, as the mage just rips through you over the Ray of Frost duration. The final burst build on this list will show off the Night Fae Retribution Paladin. Majority of paladins in the patch 9.2 have moved on to the Necrolord Covenant as their best PvP option. However, that doesn't mean that the Night Fae cannot work, and definitely has a bit of a bite left when it comes to all-out PvP bursts. With the ability of Blessing of Summer, a paladin is able to add up to 60% more damage to their abilities as Holy. With the help of the Night Fae legendary effect we get from the Unity rune covering power, further amplifying the ability for a short amount of time. To make a lot of this burst work, we'll also try combining as many damage and ability effects all into one, trying to make sure a bunch of effects go off all at once to have more of that element of PvP bursty surprise. We'll start this burst off by buffing the damage output of your Templar's Verdict by running the Final Verdict legendary. We'll also be empowering Templar's Verdict with the ability of Judgment, causing it to do 25% more damage, as well as the talent of Righteous Verdict for 10% more damage, scaled down within PvP content. We will also be running the Templar's Vindication Conduit for our Soulbinds, for a chance to echo the damage of our initial Templar's Verdict. We'll also be running Seraphim to further increase our secondary stats and enhance our bursts during the setup, as well as running the Aura of Reckoning, which requires a little bit of a setup. It requires for you or a friendly target to take a bit of damage until you reach 50 stacks of Reckoning, but afterwards, the empowered auto attack you get from this effect will be incredibly powerful, and if that auto attack goes off at the same time as your verdict, it'll create for a very surprising combination. We will also be running Virtuous Command to make sure that our verdict deals bonus holy damage. as well as the Korean First Strike trait in order to give us a better chance at critical strikes. Together, this burst combines multiple high-hitting procs all at once, with an 80% chance to do 60% more damage as Holy, thanks to the Blessings of Summer maximum empowerment mechanic. Together with a little bit of luck and all of these abilities going off at the same time during the apex of your burst, you might be able to wipe out any player in just a single swing. And that's going to be some of the unusual bursts that you may be able to get away with utilizing some of the new trinkets in Season 3 of the patch 9.2. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the burst setups that we covered in today's update? And is there any other cheesy, wacky, and unusual bursts that we should maybe take a closer look at in the next video? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As per always, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as usual, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video update, or if you have some video requests or video idea suggestions. DMs are always open. Join our Discord to become part of our community. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.